unbelievable the amount of information.
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Staff ready? You good? All right. It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call to order this June 10th, 2025 City Council meeting. Let's start with an invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Councilmember Brenda Hughes.
If you'll stand and bow your heads with me, please. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to give thanks for the blessings we receive in our community. We acknowledge those with kind and giving hearts who show compassion through service every day. We recognize the men and women who risk their own safety to provide protection for our citizens. We give praise to our professionals with the expertise to ensure we have a safe and prosperous city. We thank you for them, and we ask that you bless their efforts. We know this comes from your guidance and your direction through this meeting, and we ask for your continued love and strength to do all things in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Stuart, are you ready?
I am. Thank you, and welcome to everybody tonight. We have a few events coming up. We've got a couple events this weekend to talk about. And the first one is Friday and Saturday night. We've got Shakespeare in the Park. We do this every year. It's a lot of fun, and that started. What time does that start? 8 p.m. Starts at 8 p.m. The production this year is The Tempest. So I don't know if we're going to need a blanket, but bring a lot of water and enjoy this performance. Look forward to seeing people out there. Also this weekend at the library, we're going to have the STEAM Museum. That stands for, it's a traveling exhibit by Mobile Ed Productions, and it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. And they have 45-minute segments where they go through some interactive programming, and it's great for our kids to learn those different topics. And so I think the first one is at 10:30 a.m., the last one's at 3 p.m., and they're asking if you can to register ahead of time. So give the library a call. This is a pretty neat event, and we're looking forward to seeing that too. Not this weekend, but next weekend, we always want to put a good word in for our friends over at the Doyle Center. They're going to have the Texas Blues Festival, the Blues Fest there at the Pleasure Garden. Actually, it's at the pavilion there at the Doyle Community neighborhood. A lot of good food, a lot of good beverages, kids' activities, and some great blues music by local artists. And I think this is the 4th year they've done that, and it's gotten bigger every year. So we encourage everybody to come out and enjoy some good music. All right. Not next weekend, but the following weekend, there are still time to register for the Kerrville Parks and Recreation Department's 4th annual Cornhole Tournament, and that's going to be at the Trailhead Beer Garden. It's June 28th at 5 p.m., $40 per team, and there are prizes for the top 3. You need to sign up by June 26th. So if you get a chance to sign up for that, I look forward to seeing you out there. And then this is still about a month away, a little less than a month, but time to start thinking about the 4th on the River, which will be July 4th, which is a Friday this year. Free event every year, of course, and we got another great lineup. Jamie Lynn Wilson, Los Guanos, and then we've got Robert Earl King back, and we've got a headliner. Any idea when we're going to announce that? Not yet. All right, we're holding off on that. Hopefully by the next meeting we'll have that ready to talk about. But a lot of things coming up, so keep all those on your calendar. Council, we'll turn it over to you if you have any announcements.
Thank you. Any announcements?
Yes, the Water Street Festival is still in the planning stages, but it's just growing and just becoming a really something to look forward to. That will be a Saturday in October, October 25th, from 10 to 4. We're going to have the Water Street closed and Earl Garrett closed, so you'll be able to walk about and take advantage of the art that's there, the music, the food. We're going to have a kids parade at 10:30, which Katie is helping me with, so she's the expert, which will be fun, bringing families to downtown. So come out and join it. It's a free event. We are still looking for sponsors in case you're so inclined. But anyway, look forward to seeing you on the 25th of October.
I do, yes, sir. This Saturday at the Hill Country Veterans Center from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is a salute to women veterans. So if anybody would like to go over and thank our lady veterans here in the community, they're also going to have a guest speaker that's going to be talking, a retired Marine Corps doctor, and she will be the guest speaker. So if y'all can go out and support 11 to 1, it's a great way to honor our lady veterans.
Thank you.
Nope, I'm good.
Zebra?
Okay.
Oh. You have to.
If you've been keeping up with the internet sensation Ed the Zebra, I just want this community to know that it took 2 Kerrville boys to go to Tennessee and capture that zebra. It was not Wildlife Resource Center from Tennessee. It was Tad Honeycutt, Tyler Smith, John Bailey from Wildlife Partners right here in the Kerrville area, and then Tango 82 Aviation from Fredericksburg, who made that trip and captured that zebra. So both Tad and Tyler were Tyvee graduates, and I'm very proud of these boys in our community.
Zebra Wranglers.
Thank you. And you're related to one of those young men.
He's my son.
There we go. All right, let's move on to proclamations. We have a proclamation concerning Great Outdoors Month. And if people from the Parks Board and Parks Department would join me up front, that'd be great. Katie, you're on the Parks Board, aren't you? All right. Good. Glad y'all are here. Let me read this for us. This is a proclamation of the City of Kerrville. Whereas the City of Kerrville is blessed with outstanding outdoor recreation and leisure opportunities for our citizens and visitors to enjoy while participating in safe and healthy fun with their family and friends. And whereas outdoor activity promotes a healthy body, mind, and spirit, it is touted by health organizations and medical professionals as a remedy to the adverse effects caused by lack of physical activity and too much screen time. And whereas Parks and Recreation encourages physical activity by providing spaces such as sports fields, bike trails, lakes and rivers, swimming pools, and many other outdoor areas designed to promote active lifestyles, encouraging citizens and visitors to get outdoors, be active, and play. And whereas the President of the United States has designated June as National Great Outdoors Month, the City of Kerrville, Texas, County of Kerr recognizes the benefits derived from the city's generous inventory of outdoor parks, activities, and resources. Now therefore I, during Junior Mayor of the City of Kerrville, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Great Outdoors Month. Thank you. All I have to do is go down the line, state your name, how long you've been with the department, even if it's weeks, and what you're expecting for Great Outdoors Month.
My name is Jay Brimmel. I've been here 3 weeks, something like that. It's been a blur. But what I like most about Parks in Kerrville is right behind my office at KSP. My family likes to come and several times a week and enjoy that park there, and there are very few communities in Texas, and I would wager to say across the nation that have such a wonderful resource. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot of time on a kayak outdoors with my family at KSP this summer.
Rose Ledesma, I'm the Assistant Director for the Kerrville Parks and Recreation Department. Next month will be 9 years that I've been with the Parks and Recreation Department, and I am excited about all the programs we have going on, not just this month, but year-round, that encourage people in our community to get outdoors, be active, and play.
I'm Katie Capel, and I've been on the Parks and Rec Board for probably a week. I do want to recognize Rosa for holding down the fort while we were waiting for our new director to come. But I was also on the lake this Saturday, which was open day, and you would not believe the numbers of people and the weird combinations of floating objects that they had with them going down the river and just having the best time. And it was really a nice day. The band was good, the food was good, the Parks and Rec staff covered it really well. It was a great thing.
I'm Shane Boyer. I'm the recreation manager for the department. I've been with the city of Kerrville for about 3 months now. I would say what I'm looking forward to the most this month is seeing all of you and your families' smiling faces at our programs and events that we have to offer this month.
Well, thank you so much for what you do.
That's what I'm looking for. Oh, I am super stoked about that.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. And shaking hand with the council member as you go by.
We'll be out there with our smiling faces.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
It's so nice to meet you. So, and welcome aboard.
Are you speaking at the visitors forum?
Kent's not wearing any fun socks tonight.
Are you speaking?
It's kind of
boring. They're kind of boring.
Our fun socks on.
We had polka dots, both of
All
them.
right. Shelley, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
Yes, sir, we do. We have one, Katie Capel.
Ms. Capel.
Good evening. I'm Katie Capel. I live at 913 Redbud Lane, and I did not come in my Lady Liberty dress this year,
I noticed.
as I usually do. But I am happy to tell you about our 4th of July Kids Bicycle Parade, which is going in its 6th year, I think. This was one of the first things I got involved with when I came to Kerrville. And that first day, I was out there at 8:15 and in my dress, waiting to see if anybody would show up. And last year, I think we had over 300 kids, parents, strollers, wagons, bicycles. The mayor, the fire chief, the police chief, policemen on bicycles, and it's just a great time. The kids decorate their bikes. So this year, again, Trinity Baptist is sponsoring by letting us start out there. Pastor Wheat rides his bike in the parade. We have decorations for the kids. If they come early, we can help them decorate their bike. Cruising for Christ is there to help people get their bikes working correctly if they're not, because they've been outside too much. So it's a great day, and if you don't want to march, you can come and sit in the shade and cheer and wave flags. So, and it costs the city nothing, so I hope you'll come.
Katie, we have one more meeting on the 24th, if you need to wear your dress to let everybody know.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah. Opportunity.
I actually attended that last year, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and those kids were so excited, and the fire truck, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I'm looking forward to it. All right, the next item is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and can be approved in one motion unless a council member, staff, or member of the public asks for separate consideration. Before we get to the consent agenda, I need to ask Shelley to read in ordinance 2025-13.
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 2025-13, second reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 60 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Kerrville, Texas zoning code by changing the zoning of a property known as 329 West Main, consisting of part of Lot 17 and Lot 18, Block 17 of the Westland Addition, and within the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Texas, from a single-family residential with accessory dwelling unit zoning district, R1A, to a residential transition zoning district, RT, and providing other matters relating to the subject. On May 21st, 2025, ordinance number 2025-13 was unanimously approved on first reading.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull 4C.
4C. Any other items to pull?
4E.
4E. There remains 4A, 4B, 4D, and 4F. Is there a motion to approve these?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, so vote. All right. Now we'll go to 4C. General contract, small project with professional turf products. Mr. Brimhall.
You know this was a possibility.
Oh,
I would
I
pull
kinda-
4C.
I kind of got ready for it because I kind of knew it was going to happen.
Well, I just want some education on how
Sure.
you came to pick this particular system, because I know you probably had several to choose from.
Yeah, and this was at the direction of our staff at the golf course who looked at all avenues, and also with Mitch, whose contract was approved last meeting. And we looked at everything. This system that we're getting works with the system, the parts of the system that we were able to kind of keep. And it's a standardized system that's up to date technologically and should be viable for many, many years to come. So we should be good to go. We, again, found it after a lightning strike. We're like, well,
How to do it now.
we got to do it now. We're in the middle kind of a rehab, so we decided to make it happen.
Good, well, thank you very much.
You bet.
I trust you.
I don't need the chief.
Any other questions for Mr. Brimhall about this item? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve purchase of the Lynx heads and control system.
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. It's 5-0. Thank you. Item 4E.
Mine is just a point of clarification. I don't need Chief to explain anything on it. This is a budgeted item through the build of a new public safety facility. Instead of going through Byrne to get some of the things, we can outsource and bid. And instead of spending the $92,570.40 that was budgeted, through due diligence, we were getting the system for $69,427.80. So just a conservative point from council and from the police department, from city staff, to go out and try to save some money. So thank y'all. That was just a point.
Thank you. Is there a motion then on 4E?
Motion to approve the purchase of the public safety facility interview room camera system.
Second.
I think Brenda barely beat the second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so passes unanimously. All right, the next item is a public hearing and ordinance on the first reading. Shelley?
Ordinance number 2024-14, an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan for the city of Kerrville, Texas, Kerrville 2050, pursuant to Chapter 213 of the Texas Local Government Code by updating different chapters of the plan to reflect progress made to the original Kerrville 2050, addressing resiliency, and adding a small area plan for Nimitz Lake and a full downtown plan. There's one citizen speaker signed up, but this is a public hearing.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Peck?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. This is an ordinance to adopt the comprehensive plan. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with unanimous vote. This is culmination of about a 12 months worth of work from our consultants, Freese and Nichols, and they've got a brief presentation for you.
Thanks, Drew. Good evening, council and residents who are here. Thank you for being here this evening. I am going to attempt to summarize a 423-page document in about 15 minutes. So I'm going to hit the big high points. This has been, I believe, with you guys and out publicly for many weeks at this point. So hopefully everyone who's interested has had a chance to really dig into the draft documents that were put online. So I'm just going to hit the high points and the big takeaways just kind of for record purposes. So the city of Kerrville contracted with us, Freese and Nichols. We are an urban planning, engineering, and design firm based out of, the team that worked on this based out of San Antonio and San Marcos. We had a couple sub-consultants that worked with us on this as well, including TXP, looking at economics, market, and analysis in that way. And then we had CDS as well, that was our housing consultant that did the update to the housing analysis. And just to start off with a little bit of why we do comprehensive planning. So especially in Texas, we are a by right state. So a lot of developers can develop their land, or people can develop their land if they want to. So we generally cannot stop or control growth as much as some people might want to. We don't have those tools available to us in Texas, and so we tend to say that, if we don't plan for it, growth will still come to communities. And so what we try to do is we use planning to help guide and influence growth, so it's happening in a way that is good for the city, it's good for the current residents, the future residents, and the business community. The scope of the project was kind of threefold. One was updating the existing comprehensive plan, including updating the housing analysis and strategic plan, the community snapshot, so that's our demographics chapter, so we were updating for 2024, 2025 demographics in this new update of the plan, and reviewing specific chapters. So our scope and the city directed us to review specific chapters. We did not update all chapters in the document, so I want to make that pretty clear. But what we did do is go back and do small tweaks to vision, goals, and priorities based on what we were hearing from the community, just to be more aligned with today's demographics and the people who are living in the city today. Updating market analysis, so those economic development demographics, the land use plan, the thoroughfare plan, and the implementation and action plan. This also included additional information around infrastructure capacity, especially in that Nimitz Lake area. So we had our engineers come in and do some infrastructure analysis, integration of sustainability and resilience into all existing and new chapters. So that was the one piece where we did touch every chapter as we went in and put some guidance around sustainability and resilience for each topic within the existing and updated content, and then economic development update. Two other pieces to this scope. One included the Nimitz Lake small area plan. This and the downtown plan that we'll talk about momentarily were two catalyst sites that had been identified in the prior version of the plan. So those were the two catalyst sites that the city chose to go ahead and pull out first and go ahead and do the small area plans with this comp plan update. So the Nimitz Lake plan includes assessment of the area specifically to identify assets and barriers at that smaller scale, determine priorities for this area, a land use plan, mobility and connectivity, and open space framework for the Nimitz Lake area. Again, assessment of infrastructure needs specifically here. I'm understanding that that was possibly the primary barrier to development in the Nimitz Lake area. And then recommendations related to potential development opportunities. And then the third piece of this was a downtown plan. So downtown plans are similar to comprehensive plans in scope, but they focus on this specific downtown area. So we looked at an analysis chapter specifically for this downtown area that you see outlined in red here, that is the boundary of the TERS. So we use the TERS boundary as our plan study area. Created a specific vision for the downtown area and public realm strategies related to mobility and connectivity, street typologies, infrastructure needs, opportunities for infill development and redevelopment, as well as open spaces, and then some high-level best practices around branding and activation for downtown areas, and then specific implementation and action plans for downtown. We started this 12 months ago, back in June of 2024, so we are here now in June of 2025 for adoption. So this was our original 12-month schedule that we started with, so we are on schedule. We remain on schedule here at the end. As Drew mentioned, we were at the P&Z meeting this afternoon, especially called, where they unanimously recommended approval for the plan, so we hope that you guys feel the same way. For community engagement, we had the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. The P&Z served as that body, so we had 3 meetings with them throughout the process. We also had a separate specific downtown advisory committee. We met with them 3 times as well. We had an online community survey that was open for 6 weeks last summer. The public open houses that I know a lot of you attended, we had a couple of those. And then we had the online interactive map that we kept open for the majority of the project, just closed that a couple days ago. So what I'm going to do for the document review is I'm going to go through and just hit some of the, being a little testy today. There we go. What we're going to do is I'm going to hit just some of the overall changes that were made and go through overall, but then also in some of the topical chapters so you understand what were some of the major changes or takeaways from the prior plan to this updated version. Again, from an overall major changes, that emphasis on resilience Every chapter now starts with a resilience topic of note and talks about how that topic relates to resilience and strategies to create better resilience in land use, parks, transportation, economics, all of those different topical chapters that are within your plan. We refined the place types in the land use. We talking with Drew and his staff and understanding just what changes now that they've been using this prior plan for a few years now, what kinds of things would make it easier for them to use, a more useful document both for them, for you guys, for P&Z, and for the business community. Updating those strategic catalyst areas. Again, we took some of those out because they are now their own separate small area plans within this plan. So we updated the catalyst sites to be accurately reflect now what's the content in the plan. Updated demographics around population as well as housing and market data. Added that Nimitz Lake and downtown plans, and then updated the implementation and action plan framework to align with any new or updated information that we had done. So for the land use chapter, some of these are going to have overall updates and also recent updates. So recent updates are things we've changed more recently based on comments and feedback we've been getting. So we wanted to make sure and call those out in case these were changes that had been made since maybe you did your review of the document. So overall changes for the land use chapter, again, we refined and expanded those place types to be a little bit more inclusive of different uses and more clearly defined for usability. Assigned place types to all areas on the future land use map. If you can remember your prior map, it actually just left those catalyst areas white and kind of blank. And so we went ahead and filled those in. So now those can be used as the baseline for when you go to do these future small area plans for the rest of these catalyst areas. You'll have at least a baseline understanding of what the intent was for those. Then let's see, rework strategic catalyst areas. Again, removing those that are now small area plans and relocating and confirming the content of those catalyst areas with our advisory committee. And some of the more recent updates, we adjusted a few small kind of parcel level areas on the land use chapter, just kind of that refinement level as people look at this more, we catch little things. So we refined that, and then addition of the risk map or the resilience map, basically looking at floodplain. You have a few risks that you'll see in that resilience section: heat, wildfire, things like that. The one real mappable one is your flood risks. And so you'll see that risk map come up in a few chapters where we overlaid that flooding risk with either land use or transportation or infrastructure. The housing chapter just updated your numbers for 2024. This was done at the beginning of the process here. So looking at about 2,000 to 2,500 unit demand. Important to note that there are about 800 to 900 new single-family homes already in certain stages of development within your city. So that's approximately the next 2 to 3 years of demand right there that you kind of already have in line. It won't be a surprise to anybody that there is a cost affordability, housing affordability issue here. So that's some of the big numbers on the top. 36% of homeowners are considered cost burdened, 48% of renters, and 25% of renters are considered extremely housing cost burdened within the city of Kerrville. So that's just, those are some updated numbers that were significantly different from last time that this analysis report was done. Mobility and transportation chapter, the main change we made here was just updating the thoroughfare plan. This is something that you do to align with the county, to align with the transportation plans that the city has, and understanding the major thoroughfares throughout your city. So just updating that plan to be more accurate and reflective of what the city plans to do. And then some of those recent updates you can see here. Updated West Main to be local, continued West Street as a minor collector, extended Olympic Drive, and again, in addition of that risk or resilience flood map. Those I would consider those kind of typo type things. Again, just small things as we get more eyes on these plans that we go back and make sure everything's really dialed in. Then the Nimitz Lake, just to dig into this a little bit more, this is the overall framework map you're seeing up here. Some of the key takeaways or key intentions that we're trying to create with this framework plan is activating the riverfront, either with development or with recreation, balancing a mix of both mixed use and local commercial uses on both sides of the lake. There was some conversation in the process of, do we kind of keep one side more commercial and one side more the commercial mixed use, but then it was decided that the best would be to give a little bit of both to both sides. Improving trails and bike ped access around the area, so you'll see a lot of recommended trails and shared use paths through this area. Protecting natural features and riparian areas, so you do, especially on the south bank, have quite a bit of floodplain. So you'll see that conservation area or the green areas that are along that south bank specifically are intended to denote, let's maybe not build things in the floodplain, that's not best practice, keep ourselves out of trouble there, but do use it for nature access, for conservation, for natural areas and recreational purposes. So still activating that piece of the lakefront, but just not with buildings. And then finally, looking at the utility infrastructure as a limiting factor, especially on that south side where you see that large lot residential in the yellow, that area is going to be really hard to serve with utilities. I think everyone kind of had the feeling that was the case, but our engineers came in and confirmed that, without some major investments in infrastructure out there, that large lot residential makes the most sense for that area. And then downtown, some of the key takeaways here are expanding the core. So right now the core is considered about 5.5 blocks east of Sidney Baker along Water and Earl Garrett. There's already a lot of stuff coming kind of west of Sidney Baker. So think of Pint and Plow and those kind of places that are starting to develop over there, as well as a lot of your cultural assets, with the library, Heritage Center, things like that happening in that west of Sidney Baker. So expanding the core to be considered some of that experience on the west side as well. So some of that investment and experience that you see on the east side of Sidney Baker, expanding that to the west as well. So it turns out to be, I think, about an 8-block area that we're recommending to be the new kind of quote unquote core. Enhancing overall safety, mobility, and connectivity for cars, but also for pedestrians and potentially cyclists within the area, but also connecting to the downtown to other parts outside of the formal downtown TERS boundaries as well, especially Schreiner University. Utilizing character areas to target investments. So you have a pretty large downtown area, and so a lot of cities can get caught in the idea of trying to kind of spread the money over the whole area and just doing like very surface level investments across everything. But what character areas do is allow you to really kind of target investments to certain areas and say, these are the kind of investments and amount of money we're going to spend in the core versus maybe the supporting development areas. Where do you want the city to be more involved versus where do you kind of allow the private sector to come in and support the downtown as well. And then we heard a lot about wanting more river access from downtown, kind of that play between downtown and the river kind of feels disconnected right now, even though the river's right there. So you'll see some recommendations for some urban type parks more within the downtown, but then also these green spaces and more natural kind of river access areas along the shore. And some of the most recent changes is we've added illustrative plans and renderings. So we do those right at the very end because we like to kind of dial in the vision before we make the pretty pictures, but we'll look at those just in a minute. Recommendations based on some of the comments and feedback that we'd heard just more recently is that Main Street staff member and an arts ordinance for a percentage of development costs to go towards potential art in downtown. So these are some of your pretty pictures. This is your illustrative plan that just kind of shows if you kind of built out downtown as this plan envisions it, here's what it would look like from a eye level or from a bird's eye perspective. It's twisted so that it fits horizontally on your map there, but you'll see, where's my mouse? Here we go. So obviously City Hall's right here. This is the courthouse. This is your current historic streets. So what you have here is your current core. This is some of that stuff that's already organically starting to build on that west side. Some development potential on that west side there that you'll see behind the HEB. There is a nice opportunity for potentially a riverfront development here. I know people have thrown around hospitality or hotel type development. So we showed that in here as a future potential opportunity. And then you'll see a lot of development down in what we're calling the university area. So this is an area right now, it is within the TERS. It's kind of that southern tail of the TERS district. The last plan talked about that being entertainment mixed use. And that was showing to prove a little bit difficult for people to make pencil, to make that kind of vision come to fruition down there. So we expanded that a little bit, talking about it as a university district that would allow a little bit more than just entertainment mixed use. It would allow maybe some flex industrial type uses, that you could see maybe students from the university starting small businesses in that area, things like that. So it allows for some of that activity and that kind of thriving experience in downtown, but without maybe the same cost of being in the downtown core. And then just a couple of our renderings just because they're fun and exciting. So here's your Water Street Festival. There you go. So
I knew this would happen eventually.
So we did one rendering that's just kind of showing the potential of getting more festivals. If you're closing down Water and Earl Garrett, what that would look and feel like in downtown. You'll see we added some extra signage on the parking garage back there. We're trying to really kind of show that and showcase that you guys have this parking garage in downtown. So we're kind of trying to show that through our renderings as well. And then there is already a proposal for a downtown boardwalk. Often a picture is worth 1,000 words. So that was one of the renderings we also chose to do for you, is just to get that idea a little bit more visually in people's minds about that extra piece that could just really make that connection between downtown and the water and allow those businesses along there to utilize kind of their back of house for additional business purposes, maybe a patio, especially if they can get that connection directly into the into a future trail along that bank back there. And again, you see our very large parking sign, so everyone knows there's a parking garage. And then everything kind of wraps up with the implementation and action plan. So we went through the current action plan, which is very hefty from the last, 400 something actions. So we went through all of them. Drew and his team went through all of them, helped update what's completed, what's still in progress. And then we fine-tuned some actions and added a few to align with the new content that is in this updated plan. So with that, that is the overview of the comprehensive plan. So we're happy to take questions for us, for the city.
Any questions?
What was the most significant change from the original 2050 plan to what you've amended?
I mean, the most significant change is going to be those two small area plans that we pulled out of Catalyst sites and made them, their own whole plans on their own. I don't know, Drew, would you?
I would agree.
Okay.
Other questions, comments? I do have a comment. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting it done on time.
Sure.
And who all was involved in the room? I know Paxton. Who else worked on this?
There's people over there working.
E&Z did. I know that.
Yes.
Anyway, everyone who worked on it, thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you for having us. It was very enjoyable to work with you guys and your city and your staff and your residents. And we'll say a lot of the keeping on time is often on the city staff side. So we'll say testament to them for sure.
This is an ordinance with a public hearing. We do have one person signed up to speak, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is, who is that?
I need you to open the public hearing.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I always miss. Public hearing is now open at 6:39.
Dr. Rector?
Dr. Rector.
Bill Rector, 705 Water Street, and I hope tonight I'm here speaking to the choir. This is a superb plan. Friesen Nichols has done a great job. The implementation looks great. It's going to be a pattern to follow, and I am excited about it and highly recommend it to you. Fortunately, we were allowed, Main Street Advisory Board, as well as the Downtown Historic Business Association or Alliance, was allowed to participate in the Downtown Advisory Committee with the TERS group. And we really appreciated that, to have input. We also had a great deal of public participation. As you saw, we had 3 DAC meetings, and we had 2 meetings at the Arcadia for public input as well as surveys. It's a great document that is pointing the way forward for us downtown. HDBA has discussed it. Business leaders downtown, business owners downtown have discussed it. They are behind it. They are excited about it. Main Street Advisory Board has looked at it in detail. They have discussed it. They are in favor of it and strongly support it. We are particularly excited about the new core downtown that has been recommended by Friesen Nichols. It's exciting to look at enlarging our downtown into a strollable area where we can develop new businesses and new things downtown for us. I would highly suggest or highly hope that you would favor this document and would adopt it tonight. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. You did not have to sign up to speak. Anyone wish to speak? All right, it's 6:41. I will close the public hearing. Any comments or questions for Mr. Paxton, for Friesen Nichols, or for staff, council? Any?
I appreciate all the time that was taken to educate the public and get them involved in this process. It speaks volumes when you keep the public informed. So thank you for that.
Comments or questions?
I have one question.
No, I was just gonna say ditto. I mean, thank you for all you've done to coordinate all the opinions and input from the community, so.
Yes, I'll echo her sentiments as well as Brenda's, but I have one question about the TERS and the district that's gonna get a little smaller. Not the TERS. Thought you were coming out of the TERS.
Well, I don't
Talked
know.
about
I knew
TERS
that,
going from
yeah,
40
I knew
to
that they were
16.
gonna, somebody had said that they were going to reduce the district.
No, the TERS boundary is not changing.
Okay,
Okay.
But not through this document at least.
okay.
That would be a separate discussion. The TERS boundary was used as the study area for downtown to make sure we captured the areas around the downtown core. And the downtown core is recommended to expand. The rest of that TERS boundary was assigned some different character districts to help kind of initiate and focus different investment.
Downtown zoning, if you will. TERS is not changing. We are not recommending
Reduction.
change the TERS.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. McKinney?
Well, to expand a little bit on what Brenda said, I think, the whole process was started in 2018, and Daniel was here, or whatever, and bringing the whole community together. And it's really, that's all fine and dandy, but the city staff has been taking the plan to heart, and we get notice on the agenda items, which are 2050 items, and which are, maybe which are not. And so the staff has done a really great job of following through on that. So, maybe not everything gets done, but sure a good guidepost for us to work from. So anyway, so thanks to the staff for keeping it as a priority.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, is there a motion for ordinance number 2025-14?
I'll move to adopt ordinance number 2025-14 on first reading.
For a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. Thank you for your work. Passes unanimously. We have another public hearing, which I will try to remember. Regarding the advisability of public improvement, Whiskey Springs Public Improvement District within the city of Kerrville. Mr. Hornis.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank y'all for taking the time tonight. So I will start this off. I don't have a presentation because the folks from the Whiskey Springs group have a presentation tonight. So I would like to introduce them and then go over just a few details before let them loose to give you their presentation. So tonight we have Mr. Dale Beto and Mr. Jim Boyden from the Whiskey Springs Development, Pablo Brinkman, who represents them from a brokerage side, and Patrick Bourne, who is their PID consultant. So as y'all might remember, our PID consultant is MuniCap, and so you can't have the same ones. And so fortunately, they've worked together on different projects in the past, and so we are now kind of at phase 2 of this process. So at the first meeting in May, there was a resolution with a petition for calling a public hearing for the consideration of a PID. The next phase in that is to hold the public hearing. What you saw in the previous calendar was that there would also be consideration tonight of development agreement and then a resolution calling for the creation of a public improvement district. Why aren't we having those tonight? The development agreement is not finished, so we're still working through those conversations, and so it's kind of a sequential piece. When this was set up at the beginning of May, we were hopeful we would get there today, but the statutory piece that we need to hold today is the public hearing to talk about the public improvements, and then bring back that finalized development agreement for you all in consideration of then creating the public improvement district. Does that make sense? If you're lost, it's okay.
Sense.
You can get lost.
We'll get through it.
There's about 40 steps in this whole process altogether. And you have to have consultants on both sides and bond counsel and all the rest of it. So we'll get knee deep into all of it. But the last piece I wanted to say was, as a part of their presentation, we talked about coming back to council with a development agreement that included incentives. So part of the discussion tonight and part of their presentation goes over some of those incentives. And so with that, I will turn it over to, I think, Mr. Boyden is going to do a presentation for the Whiskey Springs folks.
And we'll have the presentation, then we'll have the public hearing. If you need a lectern, you're certainly welcome to use that, or if you'd like to just use this microphone, you're welcome to that. Whatever's easiest for you.
You want to go to the lectern over there? It's a little easier to see it from that side. And you should have a
We're required to record these meetings, so please state your name and address for the record.
clicker.
My name is Jim Boyden. I reside at 15 South Fairway Drive in North Salt Lake, Utah. And Mr. Mayor, it's a privilege, members of the council, it's a privilege to be back before you again this evening. Thank you, Michael, for the introduction of my team, my partner Dale Beto, our newest local team member, Pablo Brinkman, whom you all know, and Patrick Bourne, who's our PID specialist. Staff has been, again, wonderful to work with. And I echo what Michael has said about the timing of all that we're doing. Yes, we'd like to see things happen as fast as possible, but it's more important to get them right, to take the time necessary to make sure that we do this correctly. Because, haste can make a lot of waste. And so we're grateful for the cooperation that staff from Public Works to Planning and Zoning with Drew and with the administration with Mr. Hornis and Mr. Rice and Mr. Hayes as well. So great team to work with. Thank you for the opportunity to again be back before you tonight. Michael Hornis asked me to put together a presentation that spoke more to the vision of what it is we're doing or would like the privilege to do. Kind of a repeating question that's been asked of me is, why Kerrville? Why are you coming down from Salt Lake City to Kerrville of all places? Well, I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Beto, 7-8 years ago. Our careers intersected and we found out that we got along well together and had similar interests most of the time, Dale. But we decided that we'd like to combine our expertise and find a project in a warm weather climate where we could build a golf course community of the highest caliber. We looked everywhere from Southern California to Nevada, through Arizona, Oklahoma, and here in Texas, over in the Houston area. And we were able to, through a stroke of luck, uncover this Whiskey Springs project, which was entitled by the city 23 years ago. In my line of work as a developer, Development 101 teaches maximize profit by maximizing density. And to me, that didn't ring right. I had to kind of go with the flow in school because I needed to pass the classes, right? But in practice, I knew that I would never do that. I come from a pretty beautiful place in its own right, and what pushed me into this career that I'm in is wanting to see growth and development done correctly. Like the people from Friesa Nichols. You know, I look at their work and it resonates because, you know, before being a developer, I graduated with a degree in landscape architecture and environmental planning and making sense of the growth that we inevitably will have. And so when we come across a project like Whiskey Springs, the first thing that jumped out was it was a low-density project with mixed uses. Like, okay, we're not trying to cram everything in. Someone's gone through the time and effort to be thoughtful in the master planning. So we paid a visit to the site, and it didn't take long to realize that it was a very special site with unique topography, with unique elements that make it singular. Really, there is no other place like this particular project, even in hill country. At least my observation is that hill country is very open and rolling. It's called hill country. But when you get on this particular project, there's a lot more verticality to it than even other sites in Kerrville. And so it had 23 years or so of overgrowth. And Dale was able to get into, you know, a dozer and start clearing out some of that overgrowth. And the site began to reveal itself. And we were shocked at the beauty that this site possessed. So that answers the question, why Kerrville? And it checked all sorts of other boxes. An emerging community within, you know, an hour radius of a major metropolitan airport. High visitation from tourists that are coming to the San Antonio area and specifically to Hill Country. Warm weather climate. I mean, everything jumped off the page. This is the place for us. And this is the place is kind of a phrase that we people from Utah are familiar with. It was the rally cry for the Mormon pioneers when they entered the Salt Lake Valley in the mid-1800s. They said, this is the place. Well, for me professionally, Whiskey Springs is the place. This is where I'm setting up my stake, hoping that the community will embrace what we're trying to accomplish here, because we think it's an absolutely spectacular opportunity and a singular project that we're willing to invest everything we have into. So let me scroll through this a little bit. This is just a statement about the beauty that we found here on the site that I've, in another way, have just explained to you. It's a mixed-use project anchored by a championship caliber golf course that we hope will attract professional tours. We have 5-star retail and dining planned for this site. Residential, both permanent and secondary residential for those who want to call Whiskey Springs home, as well as those who want to use it as a vacation destination. Some of the project highlights. We started with approximately 800 acres, just under 800 acres, and we've sold our first parcel. So we're down to about 787 acres left. But a key component to this was a very high-end 4, possibly 5-star hotel resort component on one of the main plateaus of this project, overlooking the entirety of the community, the Kerrville community. Its vantage point looks all the way across the river. The 18-hole championship golf course would anchor this project. We have 44 acres of commercial. Within that 40 acres of commercial would be 2 additional market rate hotels to complement the resort hotel that we would build. We have 368 traditional single-family lots that were part of the original entitlement 23 years ago. And the great thing about that is that's 0.47 units per acre, or another way to say that is one home for a little more than every 2 acres. And we're preserving over 400 acres of open space as we go about this. So open space preservation, the beauty of the site preservation, that's paramount to what we're trying to accomplish here. And this site offers that by way of the entitlements granted, 2 decades ago. Some of our anchor beliefs as developers is that we need to, and coming from Utah, we have the same issues with water. We're a desert community there, we're a desert community here. We have to be good stewards of the resources we're allowed to work with. And so every bit of outdoor irrigation or water amenity will be used, we will use recycled, reclaimed effluent water from the city. We won't use a drop of potable water for anything outdoor. Not only that, but we will also strive to capture, recycle, reuse any kind of water, whether it's rain harvesting or whether mechanisms are legal and available to us. We'll make every effort to implement. The golf course is, we went back and forth, or Dale was very, very thorough in his research as to what kind of turf grass to use. And he opted to use a type of turf grass called paspalum, which is drought tolerant, salt tolerant. It's also much more expensive than some of the Bermuda or zoysia grasses that are available here in this region. But it's the right type of turf to use given the goals we're trying to accomplish. Furthermore, we will self-restrict ourselves through our CCNRs to make sure that we don't overwater or that we don't put in elements in our landscapes that would be wasteful in the use of that irrigation water. And we'll use the best management practices in high-efficiency distribution mechanisms of drip irrigation and other high-efficiency irrigation techniques. But our conservation efforts go beyond that. Any way that we can conserve, we will, whether it's through energy and solar or green building practices or recycling, reuse, all of that. We're committed to implementing that. It makes up who we are as developers. This is the updated site plan. This is a little more refined from the original master concept plan that we came before the council. Mayor Herring, you may recall, as a member of the council in December of 2023, we updated the zoning ordinance for the PD for this project. We pushed and tugged a little bit on where uses were and came away with a very bubble type diagram master plan. But this is much more refined now and lays out the site as it currently is contemplated. This is pretty well baked, this design, this concept. And it shows the locations of the commercial, the footprints of those buildings. And we'll get into a little deeper here as we go through these slides. So we had our land planner put together some perspective renderings of what the commercial areas and the residential areas would look like. But we have a mix of commercial dining, office and boutique, retail sales, hotels, with meeting and convention rooftop dining spaces. Commercial retail center overlooks both the lake and the Gulf, creating the perfect place to stay and play. This is a plan view of what that corner intersection commercial area where Highway 16 intersects with Interstate I-10. And you can see how the Gulf interacts with the lake frontage along with the commercial areas along the waterfront there. We have some quick casual areas up close to Highway 16, little kind of pull-through, drive-through eateries. We have a mid-box on the left side that it's labeled number D. That could be a mid-box retailer. And then we have down here on the bottom kind of a nod to the Riverwalk in San Antonio. We call it our Creek Center, where one of the many creeks on our project site would meander down to the lake where we have retail boutique shops scattered about that would pull the pedestrian experience through. We call it conceal reveal, as you take 10 steps, something might pop out that you weren't able to see, 10 steps previously. And so it enhances the pedestrian experience. Here's another perspective of what that looks like if you were hovering over, say, I-10, looking down on the lake that's existing there. There's another perspective above where a little above, kind of a drone perspective of kind of where the high-end hotel would be sitting high on the hill. This is that same slide that had the title over it, so a little easier to view that way. But again, the concept behind this is to pull people out of their cars and onto their feet, meandering through a boardwalk type experience that focuses everything inward to the beauty that this site has. Another look at our boutique commercial area along the Highway 16 frontage and the hotels, the market rate hotels there in the back. Another perspective. So we have this Creek Center. As people come in and visit and stay at the hotel and golf, they may be spending a few days, a week or more as a vacation, but we also want them to get out and shop. And in this Creek Center offers a variety of shopping as well as dining experiences that this is our nod to the Riverwalk. I got to be careful when I say that because nothing can replicate the San Antonio Riverwalk, but it's a beautiful place, and we wanted to try to recreate a little bit of that magic here. Retailers, we want to have local, regional, as well as national retailers that offer a wide variety of options and experiences. So, again, this is looking at the Riverwalk from kind of if you were on the shoulder of I-10 looking into the project. This is a perspective we all see as we drive in to take the Kerrville exit as we're coming up from San Antonio. Right now it's just a field of little mesquite tree sprouts as well as some oak and cedar and pecan trees are in there, I think even. Again, the Riverwalk as the creek kind of meanders down through. Again, this is conceptual, but this will be a much fuller, natural looking experience. Not so much hardscape, but just to kind of give you an idea of flavor of how that might work. So with our residential, we have 368 traditional lots. The smallest averages about 1/3 of an acre. The largest is over 3 acres. The average lot size is almost 3/4 of an acre. But everything from a large estate home down to a modest single-family, starter home type variety and everything in between. Our estate homes, some country club homes. Nightly cabins are also something that we'd like to build for those who are coming to enjoy the golf course and stay. They're not necessarily wanting to stay in a hotel room, but like to rent a stay and play golf cabin. We've made plans to provide those as well. Oh, that went backwards, sorry. I promise I'm only hitting the advance button. Me. Michael, is there a way for you to advance it for me?
I can do. That's it, that's the last slide.
Oh, that's why. That's the last slide. So that's an overview of what the project, we hope it can become. And we're working to make that a reality here. The Public Infrastructure District, as we call them in Utah, PIDS, here in Texas, Public Improvement District. Okay, Public Improvement District is critical, it's key in making this come up and out of the ground. I think, and our partner here, Patrick Bourne, is prepared to answer any questions about the details of how PIDs work and how they would work specific to this site. But it's without a PID, this is an impossible lift. And so we're grateful that you would consider our petition to form this PID, and look forward to answering any questions that you might have about how they work and how they're formed and what they're used for. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have or turn time over to other my team members that can answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Mr. Boyden?
Well, I mean, I hate to take up all the time, but okay, I'm a home buyer, let's say. I know I'll be paying, part of my price to buy this house includes a PID, but that's a separate loan from the mortgage I'll get for the home, or even if I pay cash, it's still a loan that will be issued to me prior to occupancy of the home. So I'm just pretending I was one of those people. What would I be going through to secure a home?
Patrick, why don't you trade me?
Very elementary question, but not that familiar with PID, so.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Patrick Bourne. I work with Sundance Analytics, working with the developer as a PID consultant. I think that's a very good question, though, right? Because when you look to do this, you're not only looking at the cost of the home, but there is the financing tool, which is a public improvement district, which is what we're utilizing to try to fund a portion of the public improvement costs related to this. So every home buyer, when they move into or purchase a home within a public improvement district, is disclosed both at the time of contract and at the time of closing what that payment will be for the term of the PID. In Texas, with the PIDs, we typically do a 30-year PID that kind of aligns the same timing as a mortgage. One of the unique things about a public improvement district is that it has a finite period of time and there's a finite debt service schedule that is assigned to it. So at the time you enter into that contract, we'll be able to disclose to you exactly what those payments will be on an annual basis. The other nice thing, one of the other nice things about that is that the public improvement district runs with the land. So while you own that home, let's say that the typical home buyer is at a home right now. I think the national average is around 7 years. Is that what a home buyer is in a home for? So if you're in that home for 7 years, you make those 7 yearly payments. When you sell the home, the next home buyer takes over those payments during that term, because the payments of those PID installments are really going to pay for a portion of that public infrastructure that the home buyer is utilizing. And so that's how it gets disclosed to you, so that, in projects without a public improvement district, what ends up happening is that developers have to fund or finance all of that infrastructure, and they have to pass it off day one as part of the lot cost or as the home price to those end users. And so you actually see an increase in that home price day one, that you are having to wrap in that entire cost as part of your mortgage and what you're trying to get approved for to get into that home. In the PID, because it's paid annually only while you're paying it, you don't have to take a mortgage for that entire 30-year payment day one when you get that financing put in place. Another thing, though, that I just want to point out is, again, which makes a PID very unique, because we know the term, it can be prepaid at any time without penalty to the home buyers. That is very unique to public improvement districts. So when we were looking at what would be the most efficient way to finance this public infrastructure, That's one of the reasons why we looked at the public improvement district as opposed to some of the other financing districts that are available throughout the state of Texas. Long answer to your
Oh.
question, but I wanted to give a little bit of background to go along with it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Jeff?
Well, I'm very impressed with the project, and I think it'll be a great addition to the community. And it's, lucky to have the interest to put this development here, so, you know, thanks for giving us a shot. I know it's a lot of work yet to be done, but I think it's great.
Yes, sir.
I do have one, sorry.
Get to you.
Jim, do y'all have an HOA on top of a PID? Is that something y'all are looking at as well? Just from a banker's side of it is what I'm looking at, because it sounds like, and Patrick, I've not done anything in a PID, but it kind of sounds like an HOA worked into the mortgage, like you have to add it to your mortgage payment. So would there be an HOA too that y'all would have?
Yes, there would be an HOA. We'd probably end up referring to it as a POA because there's more than just homeowner property. There's commercial property, retail property, hospitality property. But what's unique about a PID is that it can only be used to finance public infrastructure, whereas an HOA would be assessed, a fee for an HOA would be assessed to help private amenities and the upkeep of things that don't qualify for a PID on the expense side. So, yes, there would fortunately be a POA fee as well.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Brenda?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add. I just think it's, like Kent said, it's about time that something developed out there. I mean, I've lived here for over 30 years, and there's always been something coming, and it never came. And now here it is, and I appreciate seeing the pictures and being able to get a vision of what's going to be out there.
Right, I'm not going to forget we have a public hearing on this.
Can I just make one final comment before we open the public hearing? In order for something of this scale and this magnitude to be successful, everything has to fall right.
Mhm.
You have to have the right property. You have to have the right economy. You have to have a developer willing to make the investment, and you have to have a community government that's willing to support it. And right now, we have a royal flush in our hands. Things are going incredibly well. Cross our fingers it continues. But this is something I think that we're all very excited about, and we look forward to taking the third step in the list of 40, if you'll allow us. Thank you.
Mr. Hornas?
Do you mind if I just one more minute before we get into the public hearing portion of it? So part of this is to discuss the public improvements, right? So it's hard to outline exactly all of what those are, but if you looked at the development, you looked at the site plan, there's a considerable amount of those public improvements. And so as they're looking at the bond series for this and the request of the PID, you'd have noticed in that number was $200 million. The initial kind of swag at all this, because there are opinions of probable costs, but as you know, sometimes those costs change. You want to build in some buffer. Initially, there was $102 million for the actual improvement cost, plus about $40 million in bond costs. So that's capitalized interest, that's all the other things that go along with it. That did not include what we have discussed prior to this, was the creation of a secondary storage pond where we have our reuse facility, right? What we have said all along in this is that there's a limit to the amount of reuse water that we have available. And so to their credit, what the Whiskey Springs folks have said is, okay, what storage capacity do you need us to build in order to accommodate during those kind of 90 days of drought, so that we're not taking from what you already have and what you need in the future. So again, that initial number was $140 million. And so that's roads, water, sewer, landscaping, infrastructure, soft costs, hard costs all together, but not inclusive of that construction cost for the size that they would need to build on our site that's adjacent to the one that we have now. So I didn't want that to be, it's a vague number, but it's vague for a reason, because as we move forward in this process, again, as we talked about, there's 15 or so steps in this. There will be a preliminary service and assessment plan, which will outline exactly how much your home would be, what your assessment would be, and getting that refined cost on that public infrastructure to, rightly have the correct assessment for yourself. And so this, we hadn't talked about that yet, so.
So that pond that we don't know the size of yet would be in what timeline approximately? Like,
It's so it's all a partnership, because they're talking about, as they spoke, it's a very hilly topography on that site, right? So there's a limit in the amount of storage capacity that you're gonna be able to have on site. And so we have been kind of going back and forth on that for quite some time. Their engineers, our staff, working through what are the size requirements going to be? Because eventually their hope is to utilize their own effluent, right, to then put back into the golf course, thereby kind of reducing what they need from us. And so, like everybody else, they don't want to build a 90 million gallon tank if they need a 60 million gallon tank or a 40 million gallon tank. So, again, one of the reasons why we're not considering the resolution today is because we're still hashing out how the hows and whens of all that's going to happen. And that would include the price of the build on that.
I know exactly how the elevation is. I got to see it with a ride from Dale, and I'm sure it's changed a lot even since I saw it.
That sounds like you didn't like my driving.
Oh, no, it was, well, there was a moment, remember? There was. I was a little nervous, and I was in the front seat, so anyway, but thanks for the ride. It really gave me a lot to understand.
For the members of the public here, I want to reiterate that the creation of a PID does not affect the creditworthiness or the credit of the city. Creation of the PID, the cost of that infrastructure is not borne by the taxpayers, but by the residents of that community. Correct? Thank you. All right, let me open up a public hearing at 7:17. You do not need to sign up to speak. Anyone is welcome to speak. Please go ahead.
I'm not familiar with PIDS either. He did, they showed us that there were going to be 70 attached cabins for nightly use. There's going to be hotels, at least one big one and maybe a couple smaller ones. Does that mean that the city would benefit from hot tax as well? Or is that something, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
I like it.
That doesn't happen every day.
I'm sorry. I am wondering, when you're talking about the cost of the home, your insurance, your
Right.
taxes and everything, this is going to be definitely a high-end resort. So it sounds interesting.
May I tease you, Ms. Caines, and say, mark the calendars, Nikki Caines liked it.
Yeah, exactly what I was.
I have my reservations.
Now
We know you're up, it's real Nikki
All right,
Caines.
we're still having a public hearing. Any other speakers? Mr. Brinkman.
Councilor Mayor, Pablo Brinkman, Brinkmanford Properties, 3928 Oak Park Drive. No, I'm a part of this, and we're very excited to be just because of what it's becoming. Staff has been very involved daily in how this project has developed. Obviously, with all the hot buttons, with the things that Jim had talked about with water use. I can't say enough about the last comment that Jim said about timing, because those of us that have grown up here, and there's a lot of us that I'm looking at right now that were pushed around in HEB in a little cart before with our pacifiers, are sitting on council in front of you. We won't talk about the size pacifier or anything I had. So we will talk about that. Nothing's been done out there. It's been an opportunity just waiting to happen. The highest and best use was a camera safari. And so the topography, those of you who've been out there, what it's going to bring to Kerrville, the aforementioned close to things. There's just winners breed winners. When you asked about hot techs, there's going to be, you know, a lot of the Creek Center, everything there is for everybody that can fog a mirror. Everybody pulling off of all residents. We're going to have a combination of local, regional, and national retailers is our goal, to have people that you know that have cottage industries, things like that, service industries, but really it's just trying to bring a lot to Kerrville in the hotel sector with meeting rooms, things that we are voided in, but the partners have just said, you know, what does Kerrville need? So we still welcome more feedback, but staff has been tremendous to work with, Mayor, and this has been a big learning curve for my firm. It's our first PID to work with, and it's the more research I did, Ms. Seigerman found out of other people that have been in similar buying a home and having that, it's baked into their vocabulary. Oh yeah, we make our PID payment too. So I've learned more about that too, very similar to your questions that I had at first.
Point of view, you want to know, how is this going to happen?
Sure.
One other thing I noticed in your slideshow, that your homes did not have a lot of grass. I hope that's true, because, you know, it's hard to go back and change. Where I live, it's 20 years old, and we had lawns. And we need to start changing how we build the new home of the future with less of that, so.
That's very much by design, and Dell has, those of you who've been out there, you've looked at where sites are going to be and things like that. It's mainly hand clearing that's done, going back in. There's not going to be a lot of large lawns. I mean, the beauty of it is your topography and your views, because we know here in Kerrville, the topo is what people think they're buying the views, so we're trying to encapsulate all that.
We're still in a public hearing. Any other speakers? Mr. Beto.
Good evening, my name is Del Beto. I live at 2142 Stone Oak. I had to remember my address in Fredericksburg. First, I apologize for wearing a cap indoors, but I've been out in the dozer all day, and I'm sure you don't want to see my hair the way it sits, so I'm going to leave my hat on. I just want to step up. This is my first meeting I've attended with you folks. Jim does a marvelous job for our team, but I wanted to point out a couple things about the golf industry for those who are not golfers. I've been in the golf industry my entire life. My father was in the golf industry. I played on the tour when I was younger, and I think that wasn't very long ago, but it was a long time ago. But I exceeded this year, our company exceeded our 50th golf course major construction and renovation new project. I've worked with some very well-known tour players, Mr. Palmer, Mr. Nicholas, and those types of designers. Del Beto's not one of those names, but I don't think they have any more dreams than I do. But I get asked the question often, out of all the designers I've worked with, all the golf courses that I've done, which has been my favorite? And my answer in the last decade has become, it's the next one, because I learned more and more as I complete a project that there was more and more I could have done. It's not mistakes that you make, but it is more ideas, more creativity. But I also say that there is one ultimate golf course out there that I've been searching for my entire life. Every time I go into a project, I think, well, this just might be it. But I've really, in truthfulness, yet to find a piece of property that I think could truthfully yield that one golf course that I've been chasing my entire life. And when I came onto this property, I thought maybe, but as we opened up the project and we began to discover some of the natural features that are here, that's becoming more and more apparent to me that we have a real good chance at this. I'm a member of the American Society of Golf Course Architects. I just had a meeting last week where we were asked, are you ready for the next wave? And I said, what next wave is that? And Mr. Pascuzzo said, well, you guys are probably going to be the new #1 golf course when you open up in America, and you're probably the new #1 golf course in Texas when you complete it, if you continue down this avenue. We didn't do that. Mother Nature did that. We're not that good. We have a great piece of property to work with. We have a great community to support us. And from both a longtime vacationer here, a resident here, I appreciate all your efforts. So thank you.
Thank you. Good work.
We're still in a public hearing. Any other speakers? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing at 7:24. Council, we've had a open public hearing. We've had a presentation. We've had questions of staff. We've had questions of the developer. And Mr. Hornis may have something else he needs to add.
Mr. Hayes does. It's kind of a procedural thing for what we have to go through now because we're not going to consider the resolution today, so we would adjourn the public hearing.
Yeah, what you want to do is take a motion to adjourn the public hearing to a later meeting. That's all right. It's okay. We can reopen it. And what we'll do at that next meeting, probably in July or August, hopefully as soon as possible, of course, bring the development agreement back, open the public hearing, and within that, in consideration of the development agreement, you also consider a resolution that will set forth the PID, and you have to make findings and things of that nature. But this is a long, drawn-out process. I certainly haven't been through it. I'm learning as we go, kind of the things that you need to do. So that's my recommendation right now, is to adjourn the public hearing to a later meeting. That's it.
Okay, we are not, the original agenda bill said today we are having a public hearing on the creation of a PID and consideration of a resolution, which I believe
It's not before you.
And the resolution is not before you, again, because, we were hopeful we would have the development agreement, deal points all worked out. We were not there.
All right,
And because
so
of that.
I have closed the public hearing. I'll reopen it at 7:26, and I'll need a motion to postpone, no?
Adjourn the public hearing until a later meeting.
And I need a motion and then a vote on that. Okay, I need a motion then to adjourn the public hearing to a later meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this public hearing until later time.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded by Jeff Harris. Any discussion? If you pretend to understand what Mr. Hayes has told us.
Trust factor working right there.
Yeah. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. That public hearing is adjourned to a later meeting.
Play ball.
Play ball. Item 7A, resolution number 13, 2025. Mr. Paxton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution for a building code update policy. We brought this in a workshop to you earlier this spring and took it back to the Building Board of Appeals and Adjustments for their input. And pleased to bring this back to you for the official policy. Again, this is consistent with the Kerrville 2050 action item to ensure that development services processes and existing codes and ordinances are not impediments to development or redevelopment. The ICC, the International Code Council, publishes a new set of codes every year or every 3 years. National Fire Protection Association also publishes a set of codes every 3 years. The state of Texas has adopted the 2012 set of codes and the 2015 Energy Efficiency Code as the state minimum standard. So across Texas, this varies widely as to what each municipality has adopted. Recommendation in the policy and approved by the Building Board of Appeals and Adjustments is to consider every other ICC code cycle. So we'd look at a building code update every 6 years, and to consider that 2 years after the publication. That would allow the building manufacturers and the industries to catch up to those new standards if there are any, and allows ICC to publish their follow-up commentary for any questions or discrepancies within the code. As we go through any code adjustment or code adoption, it goes to the Building Board of Appeals and Adjustments, listen to any building community feedback and make recommendations to City Council. And of course, those codes would be adopted by Council. The ICC does continually review building standards through innovation of materials, any disaster resilience. They review any catastrophic failures and related to building standards and general public and life safety. And that's the reason for their updates. I certainly want to be cognizant of the economic impacts to the building community and the ultimate customers, that balance the regulatory life safety with construction costs and availability of materials. Staff, of course, will continue to look at those updates according to this policy, consistent with their training through their certifications, and provide clear permit guidelines. Excuse me. So again, we're currently under the 2018 code, which we adopted in 2021. With this policy, we would look at the 2024 set of codes in 2026, and then the next cycle would come in adopt the 2030 building codes in 2032. Be pleased to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Paxton? Hearing
Went
none,
through this once before. Right?
Yes. Yeah,
hearing none, is there a motion then on this resolution?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 13/2020.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
We made appointments at the last meeting to the Economic Improvement Corporation. One of those appointed is unable to serve. And so we have another application, and I believe Queenie has the motion.
This is the last meeting we had, one extra application. They were all really good, and so with the one that we didn't quite make the last time, we want to approve this time. It's Ryan Pendergraph, good local guy with some good local experience, so recommend that we approve, or make a motion that we approve Ryan for the position.
Second.
There's a motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, so vote. Right. We have any items for our future agendas? I want to point out something that's not on the agenda, that's not actually business, but you may notice that we have here tonight, Ms. Gaines, we have staff, and we have members of the press. They've stuck it out to the very end, and I'm proud of it. But I also want to make a special mention of Wanda Cash, who is attending her last meeting as a reporter for the Kerrville Daily Times tonight. Thank you for being here. Ms. Cash was involved with the Daily Times several lifetimes ago when I was mayor before. We had many heated arguments, which she always won.
I think that permanent injunction still exists.
It does. I have a copy. Anyway, thank you for your reporting. And Tammy and Lewis, thank you for your reporting as well. But we will miss you. You can come anytime. No admission. No admission. All right. If there's no items for future agendas, this meeting is adjourned at 7:32.